Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me here today. This is Penny from Wacko-Witch Astrology, and today we are going to inquire about why is Henry Cavill single. So you might have seen my video about, Henry Cavill and, his relationship inclinations and what may or may not be good for him in a relationship. And I really wish I could have him sit here with me, not just so that I could sit here and giggle awkwardly, but so that I could actually do a reading for him and talk to him about this and get his feedback on it too. But for now, all we have is this. All we have is me reading his astrology chart, which I have pulled up in front of me. If Henry Cavill sees this by some chance, that'd be awesome. And if he wants to do this with me and talk about this with me, that would be awesome too. But that's my open invitation to you, Henry Cavill, if you see this video. But for now, I'm going to speculate. So I want to address something I brought up in my previous video that I did about him. And it was basically that I saw something in his chart that really made it look like he would do better with older, more mature partners. That doesn't necessarily mean 20 years older, 10 years older. It has to be someone who would be maybe a few years older and have a more established career. And then I saw a lot of people calling me out for that because he's apparently dated a lot of younger women. So I went and did just a quick little Google search on my own. And, I saw that he essentially said something about how he feels like he has to date younger women because it's too big of a sacrifice for someone who already knows what they're doing with their life, already has a career, to all of a sudden have their life uprooted by his lifestyle, where I suppose he's having to travel a lot and he's having paparazzi all over him. It seems like it would be too big of a sacrifice. So I guess he's kind of already written that off and told himself it's not possible. I still think it would be better for him, and I still think, that there's a way, there's someone out there who is right for all of us. So I don't think he should give up on the idea of dating an older woman who already has a career, because if I'm understanding what he said correctly, he does want a woman who has a career. He thinks that would be nice and everything. Again, I only listened to one interview and I could be totally misinterpreting it. But I'll go back to my astrology readings because that's what I'm good at, okay? So I'm looking at his chart again, and he has, Saturn in Scorpio conjunct Pluto. In terms of a long-term relationship, we want to make sure that he has a partner that has strong aspects with his Saturn placement. So that is a very important thing when it comes to compatibility. Given that he's had a lot of short-term relationships, he's probably struggled to find that so far. So that's one thing that he needs to work on better. He also has his Venus sign in Gemini. If you've watched my Venus in Gemini video, you know that a lot of them get very bored when it comes to relationships. They want a lot of intellectual stimulation. They want things to be very interesting in their relationships. And that's hard to find. Everyone I know who has Venus and Gemini struggles with this, and they often go between the extremes of either having a relationship that is dramatic and exciting, but also two people that are incompatible, versus having something this person seems like they'd be a great partner for someone else, because unfortunately the Venus and Gemini person oftentimes isn't interested. They lose interest really fast. They want someone who is kind of complex and fascinating. But with him being a Taurus, he also wants someone who is very low drama. He wants someone who can be kind of chill. And that's a bit of a rare thing to find, because usually the people who are considered to be fascinating by the human psyche, our human brains find things that are chaotic to be fascinating. And then someone who is, level-headed and reasonable isn't usually as interesting. So a big thing we're seeing here is he's kind of at odds with himself and what he actually wants. So he's going to be his own biggest obstacle in finding the perfect relationship partner. He's going to be like butting heads with himself in all sorts of ways. And on top of that, he has his moon sign in Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius is kind of like emotionally detached, kind of eccentric, and it's not that they don't feel emotions strongly, it's that they don't express their emotions in the ways that other people expect them to. So Henry Cavill probably sees himself as being very emotionally open, very willing to put himself out there, willing to wear his heart on his sleeve, just like put everything on the table and leave himself vulnerable to attack. And the world probably kind of seems like it's just all too willing to attack him because they don't understand that this is his version of being vulnerable. Like when he makes himself vulnerable, a lot of people misinterpret what's going on and they don't understand that that's what he's actually doing. So they might not know how to be kind to him in that moment. They might not know how to be compassionate to him in that moment. And a lot of times he feels like other people don't understand his emotions, and heck, he doesn't understand other people's emotions a lot of times either, because he doesn't understand, why they have so much outlash about certain things, why they make such a big deal about certain things when he feels that in the grand scheme of things, they're not as big of a deal. So this is where he's going to be kind of butting heads with other people, and that's going to affect him in other areas of life too. It's not just relationships, but it's one thing that's going to make relationships hard, because most of the people we encounter in our regular life don't give a rat's behind about our emotions. And the only people who tend to are either very close friends or relationship partners. And it's in fact relationship partners who we really expect to care about our emotions and care about how we're feeling. So he's going to need someone with a compatible moon sign. He's going to need someone with moon in Sagittarius, Leo, Aries, or Libra, possibly another lunar Aquarius, or Gemini. I personally think it would be interesting if he dated a woman who has a moon in Gemini, but that could also be very risky because he himself has planets in Sagittarius. So he's going to butt heads with most moon in Gemini people that he meets fairly severely. There's some that might be an exception, but that is a potential problem. So he has a lot of things like kind of scattered in his chart, making his personality very eclectic. And we see that in his behavior with the way he's like, I guess you could say he's a bodybuilder. I think technically, that's the type of fitness regime he has. He's a bodybuilder, so he's super buff and beefy. He's like a gym rat and all that. But then he's also apparently computer gaming nerd, and he's also like this famous celebrity. So he's got like this like weird triad of things that you don't often see together. You don't often see people who are doing all three of those things. And he also has like so many interesting things in his chart. Now, if I were doing a reading for him and he's like, what stands out most to you about my chart? What's the first thing you notice? I would probably talk about his Eris and Pholus conjunction, because that's something that's going to cause a heck of a lot of chaos in his life. I'm trying not to curse on YouTube. It's always so hard not to curse on YouTube. I think I'll be okay if I say this one. His Eris Pholus conjunction, I can say this without cursing. I can explain it without cursing. It'll probably give him like a little bit of that like a savior complex, that I have to go out and save someone. I have to like go and figure things out and figure out, why things have been ruined. But the problem is, no offense, Henry Cavill, I don't think you're good at it. So if you're like looking for a relationship partner you can save and you can fix, first of all, that's a bad idea pretty much when anyone does it. Second of all, that's not what you're here to do in this life. That's not what you're here to do in this life. You might be good at being able to unearth what is wrong with people, like you're like a psychological archaeologist. You could be like, wow, this person had narcissism and we never even knew it. You might be good at that, but I'm not seeing anything in your chart that makes me think that you are good at fixing these people. I'm trying to see where you have Chiron. You have Chiron conjunct your Mercury sign. So if you're going to help anyone, it's mostly going to be like through communication, through the way that you talk to them. And yeah, and then like aside from that, like being a Taurus, having Sun in Taurus, it's a very traditional sign. It's a very traditional placement. You want something tried and true, something that's survived the tests of time. And that's where you might want like a more stereotypical, more conventional relationship, and a more classic, a more maybe even conservative type of partner at times. And it's not that you're closed-minded, like this moon in Aquarius makes you super open-minded, but then when it comes down to it, you really just feel safer when you have someone who's a little bit more old school and who's also like a little bit old-fashioned and able to just like chill and relax. But you're also like, as a Taurus, you're really good at being a rock for other people. You're really good at stabilizing things for them. So you could do well with a partner who is very sensitive and very emotional, but not in an angry way. I will say that. Like if you have someone who, you know, they get emotional about certain things that happen, like someone insults them and they go cry, you might be able to like kind of comfort them and help them work through it, and you might be a good partner to them in that way. But if you're dealing with someone who has like really high highs and really low lows and that kind of thing, that's where you're gonna like, no, he's not for that, guys. He's not able to deal with that well. He's not able to cope with it well. It's not for him. So I feel like there's something else I wanted to talk about before we get going here. Yeah, so I wanted to bring up the thing that I touched on in my last video. And I had someone call me out for this one too, okay, because like I'm apparently more ignorant about bodybuilding than I realized. You know, they have these periods where they're supposed to like bulk up and make themselves look kind of like fluffy and fat. And like, I mean, I knew this, but I forgot because I don't normally think about it. And then they like, that's when they build muscle, and then they like lose all the fat right away. So he still has periods of his life where he ends up looking a little bit fluffier and he's not as lean and you can't see his muscle as easily. And I pointed out that he doesn't want to be loved just for his body, and that he would really appreciate a partner who likes seeing him like that, who likes seeing him when he's a little bit more, you know, fluffy, as I said. Yeah, I think that's even all the more true. I think that's really important for him. He doesn't want someone who, you know, just treats him like a slab of meat, who only likes him for what he looks like. You know, he wants someone who, you know, will like, this is probably counterproductive, and I'm sorry, but he probably wants someone who will like encourage him to have that extra slice of pie. And with his career, he's probably on a very strict diet. You know, that might like, he also needs someone who respects his career and all that stuff too. But, you know, in the moments where he's like not getting ready for filming or whatever, like he wants someone who's gonna like bake him a pie and encourage him to eat more than one slice. I think he would love that type of behavior. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. You can check the links in the description. If you want to be a part of my Facebook page, follow me there. Make sure you have notifications turned on. And yeah, for anything else, for readings and everything, you can check the description. I have links there. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.